Up on the roof here at the Stevenson's house in Malabar. I decided since you guys weren't home that I could shoot a quick video after I did my notes up on the roof. That way you get to hear and everything that I was thinking when I was out here and as I found it. So even before I get off the ladder, I want to talk about these 3 reminder arrows. The first one is to talk about the drip edge. So with your new roof, whether it's metal or shingle, we're going to replace the drip edge. If it's metal, it's going to match the color of the metal, whichever you pick, either bright shiny silver or any of the other colors. Or if you go with shingle, it can be white or brown. Obviously in this case I would go with brown. The next arrow is talk about the gutters themselves. So obviously these are really banged up, and forgive me if you already know half the stuff I'm going to talk about or all of it, but we're going to replace the gutters. I don't know if you've seen the promotion, but Collis has a commercial that says free gutters with your new roof, and so that applies to you as well too, even though you have about the equivalent of 2 houses worth of free gutters. So that would be a good deal. And then the third one is to talk about all the stuff that's in the gutters. So look, you have literally inches of granules, and of course the oak stuff that are in your gutters. The reason why it's important to talk about is because in every sense of the word, the granules are the sunblock for your roof or for your house. So when you lose the granules, all the protective chemicals inside the asphalt shingles start to leach out, and it turns the shingles very brittle, almost like saltine crackers. They literally just start to flake off just like that. So and you'll see some of the other examples around the roof. Big roof, lots to talk about. I went around and I coated all the vents that are up on the roof. We'll talk about the vents in a minute. Let's come around here. Yeah, so you have a few like dangerously soft spots. So I marked one here. I don't know if you can see the depression in the wood, but it literally, your foot could go right through that. And probably the worst one by far is out front here. In this section here, I would not have anybody walk in that area. They might end up right into the foyer or the living room area. Yes, you are missing some shingles here. So this is called a cricket or a diverter. It diverts the water around the chimney. So obviously redoing that correctly is so vitally important. We'll come back to here in a second. And this gives you a pretty good overview. Let's talk about what these boxes or V's are. I've decided that if you go with the shingle, we're going to include 2 solar powered fans. It's called attic breeze solar ventilation. I won't talk too much about it because I don't think you're interested in shingle all that much. But these existing attic ridge vents, they're so teeny tiny for a house of this magnitude, of this caliber. They're not doing a sufficient job of getting that heat out of the attic. So if you're going to stick with shingle, and you can literally feel the heat coming off this roof, I'm going to make sure that you have the attic breeze solar powered fans, because it's really the only way to really control the temperature inside the attic. Otherwise you're literally going to bake the shingles prematurely from the inside out, and that's exactly the problem that you're pretty much having with this roof now. But from here we're going to talk about metal, and so the virtues of metal over shingle. The conversation starts basically, you know, shingles 130 miles an hour, metal conversation starts at 155 miles an hour. These metal panels have been tested in the laboratory of over 200 miles per hour. They use pressure barometrics rather than miles per hour, but the equivalent of 200 miles per hour. So there's obviously an advantage there, but probably what's most practical for you, other than the function during a hurricane, is the energy savings. So when you have any type of metal roof, I remember the first time I sold a black metal roof in Cocoa Beach, I thought this guy was crazy. It was a house of this size. But the engineer from the factory said, you know, it doesn't matter what color it is, black, green, or even white. The reflective value of metal is 4 times more reflective than even the lightest, grayest shingle out there. So you can pretty much pick whatever color you want regarding metal. I think this house would almost begs for like a dark brown, a mansard brown they call it, a bronzish color. I think that would really pop. The bright shiny silver, that comes standard. You don't pay extra for that. And then for any color, it's basically $100 per square. So you're probably looking about $5,000 just to add color to the roof. Oh, speaking of metal, by the way, these are all the things I want to talk to in person, but I really want you to at least have a basis of understanding regarding metal. So when it comes to metal, you have different types of panels. Again, forgive me if you know this, but this house obviously begs for a standing seam, hidden screw system, right? I just don't think this is going to look right with an exposed fastener roof. That's either a barn or a house over there that you can see the screws on that one, where the house across the street, as you probably already know, that's a standing seam. Now that might be bright shiny silver, and it might work for that house, but I really do feel like this house begs for the standing seam. And you know, it's really not that much more than the exposed fastener, and it's going to last way longer, and it's going to look way better. Last 20 seconds, let's talk about how we're going to redo your roof correctly for you. And forgive my exposed fastener metal system here, right? But really, it's not the top layer that's as important as all the layers underneath. So imagine this with me. We're going to remove all the shingles, get down to the bare plywood roof. Anything remotely bad, like I discovered in this area here, that area there. You know, typically with the average house, you get 2 full sheets of plywood with your new roof, but I'm going to obviously double that. I'll make it 5 with this. I would still back pocket the idea of another couple extra sheets at $95 a sheet installed. And we don't have to use a whole sheet. We can section it up as needed, but just back pocket maybe another $500 of wood replacement, because there are some crunchy areas that I found around the roof. Between $500 and $1,000. Doesn't mean we're gonna use it or need it, but I just want you to have that idea in the back of your head. Again, bare plywood roof. After we restore the plywood perfectly, we're gonna, the 2 building codes. The first one says re-nail the plywood to the roof trusses. The code used to say 12 inches, now it says 6 inches. We go every 4 to 5 inches. We're gonna double, triple the number of nails holding your plywood to your roof trusses. And then the really important one is the waterproof barrier. You've probably heard of the term peel and stick. We're gonna cover every inch of this roof with that super sticky, rubberized, waterproof barrier. Even in the event, well, it's not a question if, but when we get hurricanes, even if it damages your shingle or the metal panel, which I highly doubt the metal, it's still not going to allow water inside the house. And that's what's so vitally important about the waterproof barrier. And then on top of that, we'll put your standing seam panel or your 30-year architectural shingle. So I really hope that you appreciate the little extra input. It probably raises more questions than it answers, so feel free to reach out to me. With this video, I'll include a base reference shingle estimate, your standing seam estimate, and then I'll give you a clue about the difference between the bright shiny silver and the colors as we discussed, as well as some other information as well. Thanks so much. Bye.